Hello there, I'm Mabel Jong and you're watching the World Healthcare Congress Interview Zone, and here with me now is Lola Jordan, who is President of Companion Data Services. Lola, great to have you.
Thank you, Mabel.
Well, we just had the pleasure of speaking to your Chief Technology Officer, Fred Rowell, and we talked a little bit about data and how there's so much of it in the healthcare sector, no shortage of it actually. Will we face challenges in storing all of that data?
I do believe that we will face some challenges in storing that data. There are technologies that are out there such as Hadoop, but it's growing at 50% a year, and that's compounded year over year. So we will have challenges in storing that data. I think the key is having the right service providers and the technicians in healthcare, not just in data, and how we're going to store that and protect that data. The security around that data is very important because it's our personal health information. It's my information, it's your information, it's our parents, it's our children, and we really have to make sure that all of the technologies that surround that, besides just the storage, is taken care of through the security aspects as well.
Well, how confident are you that we do have the correct security precautions in place now?
I know that if you talk about this data centers that we're hosting and some of our competitors, we're very good at knowing what the security is. You're not hearing about us in the news that we're having breaches on the security within our data centers. When you hear breaches, it's usually someone's taken a laptop and left it in their car, or someone's taken a hard drive. You're not hearing the same breaches as what you hear in the credit industry. The fear, though, is there's some non-traditional companies that are very big in the cloud now that they don't have a specialty in healthcare. So while they can host the data, their specialty is not healthcare. So it's really tempting to say, oh, I'm going to place it in, company XYZ because it's cheaper, faster, better. But we really have to understand the security to make sure your data is protected.
Well, obviously, coming from your background, Lola, you're extremely experienced in this area and you know what to look for. But what about the common consumer? Is that person going to be as careful or asking the right questions like you would about security?
I think the common consumer is very interesting in today's day and age. My mother's a little over 70 and she'll put everything out on Facebook. And she'll talk about, what her latest, surgery was or illness. So I don't think the common consumer is really thinking deep enough about it. Fortunately, the companies are out there that's protecting the data for those elements that they don't want known on their healthcare. But as a common consumer, I don't think they believe or are really looking at that type of aspect.
Does that make you nervous at all?
It does make me nervous. It makes me nervous just as it does with our young adults that will put anything out on Twitter or Facebook or things along that line because you don't know what will come of it in 10 years. You don't know, if an employer's looking at something, what they can find out on the internet about your health.
Absolutely.
So it does definitely makes me nervous.
You mentioned a little bit ago about the cloud. Talk more about that and other trends that you're seeing in your industry as related to healthcare.
The cloud is a very big trend, and I alluded that there are cloud providers out there that aren't as secure. Part of it is that in healthcare, there are mostly private clouds. When you're dealing with healthcare data, you really need to make sure that you've got the security around it. We're processing over 1 billion Medicare claims through our data center annually.
Wow.
So on top of that, that's the payments are going out on that. So we're paying about 10.6% of every healthcare expenditure in the country is going through our data center complex. And so private cloud is really where you're going to get the better security and the better protection of your data in those type of aspects.
What are some of the other trends that you see going forward, Lola? Look into the future for me, if you will. Some of the trends that we should be looking out for, maybe opportunities for companies to address some of the new challenges ahead?
I think when we're talking about healthcare, one of the challenges or trends that we really need to wrap our arms around is the data. Because right now it's in disparate places. So there's not one spot that you can go to get a holistic view of the consumer, So you might go to a lab and they've got lab results in one place, and they might go to a physician and the physician results are in one place, and these entities aren't sharing the data. That's the goal of the data. And then you have an individual that might be being serviced through Medicare but also has supplemental Medicaid, and at some point in time may have had commercial health care. All that data is not in one place. So I think the opportunity for the country is really to be able to start having more open consideration on the sharing of the data so we can see what's going on, the holistic health of the individual, and not just pockets of their health. That's the real challenge. And again, that goes back to, we have a lot of data, but how do we analyze that data and make a difference in the health of our population?
Absolutely. If you had, if you were in the position to do so, who would you get to the table? Who needs to be at the same table to get that job done?
That's the hard part. It needs to be our federal agencies that control the data, and it needs to be our state agencies. And then you have to have your commercial carriers who are competing against each other for that same population of health together at the table to say, we're going to use this data for the betterment of the health of the country, and we won't use this data for increased exposure for competition and things along that line. So you really have to get all three sectors that are managing our healthcare,
right,
state, federal, and commercial healthcare together to get that holistic view and agreement that the data is important in helping people improve their health.
Well, the Congress was certainly very fortunate to have companion data services here this year. What was the message that you wanted to leave with people this year?
The message that I'd like to leave with them is really to think about how secure is your data from a corporation point of view, and making sure that the choices being made and how the data is being stored is going to make a difference for you in the future.
Okay, Lola Jordan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mabel.
And I'm Mabel Jong. Thanks for watching.